Hey, True Believers, England here with another batch of reviews. Heading up, this one is Batman number 85, the last of Tom King's run on the regular Batman series. Then gonna check out Folklords number 2 and Spider-Man Alien Reality number 1, so stick around for those as well. First up, though, we've got to talk about a book that I have been dreading and looking forward to all at the same time. Starting off with Batman number 85, as always, we talk about the cover first, and this is pretty much a juxtaposition of the first issue. What was it, like 74, I believe, was the first issue of this Batman City of Bane? It's not a bad cover, and I guess it makes for a decent wraparound if you see them coming or something like that. If you've got them all laid out, it works. In the end, it might actually be the best part of this comic book when all is said and done. As for the book itself, look, I'm not going to mince words here. It sucks. It's not a good book. It hasn't been a good series. And by that I mean, of course, City of Bane. In all honesty, Batman hasn't been a good book in a long, long damn time. This is another book where we have far too many pages for what we need here, considering you've got a story about Batman. Now he's confronting his father. They should be dealing with that. We meet we meet these two guys in the bar, and they have 4 panels talking about a football game. It doesn't matter to the story. Get back to the story. There's a rule. I bring it up from time to time, and look at this. Look how many panels on. They waste pages in this. So anyway, there's something I say from time to time in a video. It was in a writing class, and it goes, you never leave your hero in the phone booth with the 800-pound gorilla. Like if your hero steps into a phone booth, or let's just say a small space, since some kids don't know what a phone booth is these days, and all of a sudden and suddenly there's an 800-pound gorilla, you don't then flash to, oh, let's talk about the clouds. This book talks about the clouds way too often. It pulls away from what the story is supposed to be. And then it seems like Tom King has ideas in his head, but he forgets the segues. So it's like, okay, wait, why are we here? Oh, it's a flashback. You didn't say it was a flashback. What's going on? And he does this all throughout the book. Like I said, it seems like he's got all these ideas, but he doesn't want to tell us how he got there. Instead, he wants to have 6 pages of somebody climbing a tower while every page says, "Hi, how are you doing?" So you're getting nothing. This book is a big old nothing burger for the fact that it just doesn't even follow its own story. At the same time, it's trying to set up for what he's doing in his little Batman Catwoman storyline that's going to come out soon. This thing is trying to do too much and actually doing nothing at all. It's an amazing feat. I wish I could recommend it just for people to see how this could be done, because before this, I never thought it could be. I honestly never thought you could actually put too much and too little into a book all at the same time. But congratulations, Tom King. You pulled off a miracle here. Next up, we're going to the independent comic book, and it's Folklords number 2. Now, talking about the cover as well, as I always do, this is actually pretty good. Now, I don't know if it's good to draw the reader in. If you didn't buy the first book, I don't know if this is a cover that's going to make you go, wow, I wonder what's going on here. I need to pick this up. But if you understand what's going on, they're about to enter this enchanted forest. This cover actually works pretty well. Thankfully, so does what's on the inside. I'm quite happy with what I read here. So we're continuing from the last issue. You got the two young boys here who decided to break the rules and leave their village so they could go on a quest to find the Folklords. And so far, all we know about the Folklords are they are these mysterious beings. That's it. They're just mysterious. And they're talking as they go along, and we actually get an origin story of some sorts for the elfin child, who is the only elf in the village. Turns out the elfin parents didn't have enough money. They left them all their children by a tree, and the kid was picked up by 2 older people who never had children, and they considered him a curse, as the woman died of cancer, and then the old man hung himself. Of course, he doesn't say he was a curse. He doesn't exactly know that's what's going on, but that's what the story tells us. So it kind of opens up to, well, how are you going to be for the people around you that's going on this quest with you? And I think it makes for a decent dynamic, because the kid's innocent. He's not doing anything on purpose. So they decide, okay, we've got a fork here. We could either go the safe way on the highway, or we could go through the Enchanted Forest, and we heard that the Enchanted Forest is dangerous. But the kid goes, wait a second, elfin person I'm hanging out with, because I forgot the names, I apologize. But he says, quest is supposed to be hard. Let's go through the forest. And they do, and they meet a giant who the kid wants to offer food to, but the elf is like, no, we fight him, and they throw a rock at his head, and then they get chased in different directions. And at one point separated. It's a pretty good story, and it's a decent and kind of an interesting little tale. I'm not exactly sure where they're going from here, because basically I don't know what folklords are unless they mean human. And from that perspective, it just seems like, okay, yeah, I'm in. It's not your usual book. It's telling a story that at this point I haven't figured out yet, which is a hell of a lot more than what I could say for Tom King and his book. So gotta say, I'm in. I could recommend this to you as well. I thought the first issue was good. So far, the second issue as well. And I'm in for at least this first storyline. Next up, we have Symbiote Spider-Man Alien Reality #1. Always look at the cover first, and I've got to tell you, it kind of invokes a nostalgia for 1980s covers, a little bit more action and still remaining poster quality. And that was something I loved about comic book covers when I was a kid, and it's sort of here there. It's sort of here in this book as well, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. That's why I picked it up. Oh, but what about that interior? Actually, the interior doesn't look bad either. It's a pretty good book, actually. Shock and surprise. Tell you the truth, when it comes to Symbiote Spider-Man, sometimes it can rely a little bit too much on nostalgia, and then it's just pandering. And I'm not a big fan of anything, okay, give me something good, but don't pander to me, right? I mean, that just kind of insulting. Here you've got Doctor Strange, and you got Black Widow, and she's like, hey, I could help you out with this. And he's like, well, it's kind of magic. And she realizes how magic it is and then moves on. And we cut to Spider-Man, and he's fighting Kraven the Hunter. And during the battle, it ends up like, wait a second, I'm dealing with... he kind of has his little switch, and Kraven the Hunter goes from this big killer to Congo Bill from DC Comics, and it just so happens that he's Spider-Man's partner. And it's like, wait a second, I'm in an alternate universe. What's going on here? And he goes to look for the Sorcerer Supreme, except this time in this reality, Sorcerer Supreme is the Hobgoblin. And from there, it's just all sorts of higgledy-piggledy. And for those of you who are uninitiated, higgledy-piggledy means a real mess. And that's where it goes. I mean, it's a big old fight scene from that point on. And it works because this, oh my gosh, I should have found out who was writing the book. I apologize for that because I'm just reviewing this on a visceral level here. But they managed to write character into the action. To me, that's very important for a comic book. You don't have to sacrifice action for character. You don't have to sacrifice character for action. It should go together, especially in a Spider-Man book, when we would get all sorts of stuff like that in the past, including the Spider-Mobile. When I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, I remember this. I remember this from the 70s. I remember getting the Hot Wheels toy too. And it's a complete throwaway. It was put in the book for toys. It's ridiculous. Spider-Man doesn't need a buggy, but it's there, and since they brought it out here, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's cool. And another thing, of course, he sees Black Cat. He wants to meet up with her. And I thought this was Mary Jane. If you're going to put somebody in a Black Cat costume and she's redhead, I'm thinking it's Mary Jane, but it ends up being the Black Widow. And he's like, holy Toledo, what? Because the Black Widow throws herself at him and it says, oh, you're my lover and all that kind of stuff. And that's basically where the book leaves off. So it turns out it's all right. It's a good book. But those are my opinions. What do you think? Have you read these books? What were the good ones? What was the bad one? Let me know if there's a comic book out there that came out this week that you would like to have reviewed. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to click like, share, subscribe, ring that notification bell if you haven't done it already, because that's what YouTube really cares about, if YouTube ever really cares at all. If you don't mind helping out the channel, going over to Ko-Fi or to Patreon, drop $1 in the tip jar there, or you could commission a video. Just pick out whatever subject you want, pick out whatever topic you want, and we'll get that video out to you ASAP. I'd like to thank everybody who's already done that, to everyone, all of the true believers. Thank you very, very much for watching.